Hello, everybody at the XYZ Festival. Welcome to my world, AmericanZarathustra.com. This is Donald Kent, and I'm extremely pleased to be invited to this very, very special event. I want to send all my love and my prayers to everybody in Australia. I know that you guys are going through hell right now, and I really, really want to give you all of my soul and all of my heart to share my love and spirit for you in these times. So today we are going to look at some really exciting and moralizing content, something that should really set a fire in your heart and give you the kind of strength and inspiration that you need for the challenges ahead. So it's very interesting because often people think of the arts as the domain of the left, and they don't really know that there's an extremely lively and wonderful and I hate to use the word diverse, but diverse art scene happening on the right wing and in our sphere, in the white positive sphere. So I'll be really, really pleased to introduce you to a lot of those concepts today. So the presentation is Imperium Art, the Arts of White Identity Politics. And let's just dive right in. Okay, so a little overview. How art functions in the culture war. This is the key question of this entire presentation. It's important for you to understand that and then to be a part of that. So it's not a bystander sport, so to speak. You should get involved. You need to be a part of the community. And we'll get into that as we go. So the art of war and the war of art, I'll be looking at my content and White Art Collective. Oops. So just a few contextual issues here. Everyone in the audience is very savvy to what's going on. You're well read. You're up to date with what's happening in the Western world, who's behind globalism and all the problems that we're facing, and all of the issues, the ways and methods, techniques, weapons that they use against us, etc. So let's take a look at that in relation to the arts. So for starters, linguistics, twisted dialectic. We know that the left has been, manipulating dialectic to fabricate warped, twisted perceptions of reality. So perception of reality, isn't that what art does? It gives you the perception of an artist's experience, for example, and in a beautiful aesthetic way that should inspire you or uplift you or move you in some sense. So we can create our own kind of dialectic in our world. So in my music, I use some of the dialectic of Jason Kuna, No White Guilt. But even think of it as a pictorial dialectic as well, a kind of iconography. So the art movement in the right wing and in the white positive sphere is really still in its infancy, even though it's extremely rich and dense and full and active. It's not a movement in the clinical sense of the word where we all paint or the same way or we all sing the same music, or we have our own styles and genres and ways. But fighting against white genocide is the cornerstone of it all. So let's move on. Racial esoteric moralization, or REM. This is an idea created by Mark Brahman. Please go to the ApollonianTransmission.com, the ApollonianTransmission.com, and learn about his theories. He has essentially decoded Jewish symbolism in film and other aspects of our culture and history, literature, religion, etc. And so in so doing, it implies the idea that we should create our own racial esoteric moralization. So that would be to create the arts that show us as the winners, us as the leaders, and reconnecting us to our ancient past, envisioning a bold and beautiful future. So we'll get into that more. Manufacturing compliance. White on white weaponization. There's a lot of people on the left, sort of liberal whites, progressives as they call themselves, who are weaponized against the rest of us. And in a horrifying nightmare, they've come to be the leaders of our own destruction. And so, they're constantly pressuring us with political correctness and even political policies and all kinds of censorship, etc., to make us conform into their worldview, which is a sick and upside down worldview. There's no liberty in there. There's no destiny. There's no love for oneself and one's history and people. So through the arts, we are, in a sense, weaponizing the arts. We're weaponizing liberty in the arts, and the sense of identity. We're showing boldly who we are. We're showing love for our history, our people, our future. And so we're not complying with this on a social level. So this is an important aspect of what the arts can do for us culturally. Psychological warfare, 24/7 media demoralization. We're all aware of it. We see, gender swapping and race swapping in the movies. Me being a comic book illustrator, among other things, it drives me nuts to see characters that are kind of like American mythology, all like demoralized and twisted and turned into other characters that they're not. You can't go down the street and look at an advertisement or look at a TV commercial without seeing whites constantly being demoralized as stupid or evil or something's wrong with us. This is why we must create media of our own that is moralizing us, uplifting us, portraying us the way that we see ourselves, kind of returning in a way to that time, but perhaps envisioning an even better vision for ourselves. Falsified or erased histories, canned talking points. So, as I say, in the audience, there's a lot of savvy people. They're very well read. They understand parts of our histories, specifically World War II, that were lied about or censored, fictionalized, so much so to the point where it's illegal in some countries to talk about certain things or to challenge certain false historic narratives, which I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And that offers people these canned talking points where they can just say ad nauseum the things that they heard, on TV or in Hollywood. I always say Hollywood is not history. So we have to go around that linguistic battleground. We don't, in a sense, you kind of can't unbrainwash them. So you go and approach it from like an oblique angle, whereby you use music or art, paintings, poetry, theater, film, anything that we can create where we demonstrate the falsehood of those things, or we reconnect with our histories from which we draw our power, our strength, and our identity. Controlling white narrative. It's an obvious topic that we're all aware of, who controls it and why, through the media that they control, etc. Clearly, we have to create the media that takes over our own narrative, which is the arts, obviously, among other things. Institutionalized anti-white racism. Well, critical race theory is the first thing that comes to mind, but there's many other things going on in our world in different countries. In America, the Hart-Celler Act of 1965 was what opened up the borders to non-white immigrants. There's so many anti-white policies out there. So how do we fight that with the arts? Well, creating our own galleries, our own magazines, our own record labels, our own websites, various things that can go against that narrative and point out the faults of it, etc. And, this is just the beginning. One wants to envision running our own TV channels, our own networks, starting a white positive film industry, etc. Crypto leftists, kindness is killing us. So you have these middle of the road people, kind of normies, who just want everybody to get along, and they bend over backwards to not have arguments or have deal with conflicts, and they go insanely crazy to make sure that nothing is racial. They deny racialism or racial topics at all costs. And these people, they seem to have a kind of a good intentions, but actually they are crypto leftists in the sense that that are using a kind of a soft war against us by, using political correctness, etc. We have to place our own health first. We have to be kind to ourselves first as a people, and then from there, of course, we can help others when and if we wish. But in this time, in this paradigm, whites are targeted for destruction and replacement. So no one needs more loving attention than us, from us. So the arts do that. They provide a culture and a community in which people are coming together to celebrate us being us. So let's concentrate on that. Unite the right and the left, no man left behind. I'll admit this is a kind of ideal, sort of an idealism. Ironically, in a bitter way, it's actually whites on the left that are leading and driving, specifically feminists, that are leading and driving our destruction. And so they're brainwashed in a very sick way. So we have to, I believe we should try to help them in some way and liberate them from this. It can be done. It has been done. And through the arts, we come from an oblique angle towards them. We're not approaching them with talking points. We're not attacking their whatever political views. We're simply saying, everything good about us and nothing bad about anybody else. There's nothing wrong with just simply saying it's okay to be white and celebrating that. And so we do that in the arts. Tribalism, dancing around the communal fire. Well, DLive, BitChute, YouTube, Trevo, there's all these places in which we're holding our shows. There's several shows a week. There's contests. There's, again, magazines, artwork, all kinds of things happening in the art scene, in the white positive art scene. But it doesn't mean anything and it doesn't do anything if you don't come and join us. Come dance around the fire with us. Be a part of our community. And a certain responsibility does fall on your shoulders to bring others in as well, to share to your networks. And here's the thing. It's extremely, there's a wide variety of different kinds of musics and content for you to enjoy. So it's not like, let's say it's just country music or just rock and roll or something. You can pick and choose anything that you like and enjoy it. But we need you. An audience and an artist go hand in hand. Otherwise, there's no culture. IMPERIUM art, envisioning our future. We'll get into that very shortly here. So before we do, I want to take a moment to do a little bit of art critique. I'm an art teacher, and I have a show called Afternoon at the Museum that I teach people how to critique art, and we go to different websites where we look at artwork from around the world. So here on the right, let me first say, in the war of art, where we have anti-white culture waging war against white culture, we see, I feel like this is an excellent little snapshot of that whole movement or scene, if you will. So on the right, you've got Jacques-Louis David painting a very heroic portrait of Napoleon. His horse is elegant and powerful, and the wind is flowing from behind, and he's pointing forward as he's gazing directly in our eyes as this great leader of the past. Not only the historic context of it and its meaning, but the technique and the technology of painting as an art form throughout Western history culminates in this exquisite piece of work here. This sense of realism, light, composition, tone, color balance. It's an exciting piece that is really a masterful work of art. So we have to think about what kind of people could have created the alchemy to create this, the chemistry to create this. So that's Western man. We each have a claim in this or a stake in this, okay? So then on the left, you have the artist who created the famous portrait of former President Obama, who is openly anti-white. And Here, what he's doing is he's stealing our arts. He's stealing our techniques. He's stealing our history and weaponizing it against us. And so this is so low in its mentality. It's so brutish and it's so frankly evil because of the spirit behind it. But it's also pathetic in the sense that this person doesn't have enough of a history or enough skill or innovative qualities to make an art form that represents him and his people. Rather, he has to steal ours and then weaponize it against us. Now, let's step outside of that context for a moment. I lived in Asia for 5 years. I studied traditional painting in Japan. What if I mastered Japanese ink brush painting and the tradition of that to create artworks that humiliated and insulted and deconstructed Japanese people, culture, and history? Who would respect me? I would be hated for that. But here in the anti-white West, people are rewarded for that. And so this is the war of art that we're in now, and you need to be a part of. So knowing that, let's take a look at a work of art that I did. This is one of my original paintings. It's actually mixed media. It's the first piece I did that's intentionally Imperium art. So what is Imperium art? We're going to get to the definition shortly, but it's intentionally white positive art. It's intentionally built to speak out against white genocide. And so within here, there are a combination, it's a sort of a surreal image of different parts of history and culture. There's a unique iconography here in the symbols of the swords. Here we see a burning church in the background. We see a baby being sacrificed to Moloch. We have an eagle with a double-headed snake in its mouth. The vines growing over this giant who is trying to stand up have symbols woven inside the vines if you look closely. What is the significance of the gold helmet and why is it a lion? What is the spirit here? Why is he pointing at you? So there's a lot of content here to think about. It's symbolic. So I'm not going to read into it too much, but it gives you an example of how I'm approaching the art of the war of art, if you will. All right, so let's get into my website just a little bit here. We'll tell you what, we'll jump back. We're going to do a little screen share real fast to my site. So just give me a quick moment to do my little technological wizardry here, and we're just going to take a quick visit. It's important to see that the site that I have has a variety of things. My swag shack just got shut down because of my political views, so I'm just about to build a new one. This links out to the Imperium Art Show, which is on YouTube, my YouTube. I've got my gallery, comics, other things, BitChute, show appearances, etc. There's a lot that you can see and do there. Of course, my YouTube channel is really where the action is, though, I would say. So that's going to be something that I would encourage you to subscribe to, American Zarathustra, on YouTube. And then there's a large variety of shows that I have there that you can come and be a part of, listen to the different views, specifically on the culture war. So what is Imperium art? Imperium art is a show on American Zarathustra. As a professional artist and art teacher within the white positive sphere, I took it upon myself to create an ongoing documentary of the creators and influencers in our culture, primarily focusing on white art collectives. So you'll see that in a moment. The concept of Imperium art is to offer a trajectory for the multitude of creators that we have in our movement, to have a vision for the future. And just so you know, it's not the Donald Kent show. I'm providing a platform for all the artists and influencers to co-author the meaning of our movement in the arts. And also, I'm very, very pleased to have with me my friend goes by the name Nullis. And Nullis is, he runs a show on the White Art Collective called Conversations with the Wind. And Conversations with the Wind is a poetry show. So this is quite astonishing. Now, he puts in hours. The shows can be 2 to 3 hours long. There's a really vast amount of content in there. He has really excellent guests. But the key point I'm trying to deliver here is that he wrote the Imperium Art essay, which you can download at his site here, abnormocracy.com. So on the Imperium Art show, we have our guests read that essay and respond to it. And it's essentially saying these are the sort of the, I don't want to call it manifesto, but these are the building blocks of what a white positive art movement would be. So from there, and honestly, we really invite critique. We want people to be a part of this, challenge it, tear it apart, put it back together, and then together we can create this kind of voice that we're doing. So on the Imperium Art show, we've had many really well-known guests in our sphere. It's really an honor to be in the presence of people like Mark Collette, for example, and others. Mark was inspired by Jeff Winston, who created the White Art Collective, and he started the Patriotic Alternative I don't know, I'm sorry, it's Patriotic Alternative Arts. I'm not 100% sure. We'll get to a slide about that later, but really an extraordinary man, a hero. And there's a whole art scene growing out of the United Kingdom that I strongly urge people to take a look at. Here we've got Frody Midjord, Guide to Culture, another colossus in our world. He is a really brilliant person. He's done so much for our movement, very, very much plugged into culture, and a really easygoing, wonderful guy to just talk to as well. So Tim Murdoch was on Imperium Art. His cartoon, so Tim Murdoch from White Rabbit Radio. Strongly urge people to subscribe to that. His cartoon called Anti-Racist Hitler is my favorite cartoon. So it's very, very comical, but also amazing at how it shows the hypocrisy of Jewish hegemony over Western countries and the forcing of immigration into our countries, obviously to replace us. And so that's a must see. That was a really, really good episode. Oh, here we had Richard Spencer and Tyler Hamilton on. We talked about fashion. It's wonderful to get some influencers outside of their political sphere and have them talk about the arts, and we kind of get to see a new side of them. That's an excellent, very enjoyable show. Norm Apollo is an expert on fascism, and he also does. He writes short stories that are in a kind of a fantasy vein, and he has like the best radio voice you'll ever hear. Anyway, I think it's vital to have people like him and Gabriel Vinto on the show, people who understand the true history of political ideologies that, had a time in the past that were for our people and that were anti-communist, and that even though they're from the past, perhaps we can take ideas from them and rebuild them for our future. So it's not all exclusively about arts. Of course, he talks about Imperium Art, but it's also, we get into politics, philosophy, history, other things as well. One of my favorite Australians here, Joel Davis, a brilliant young man, very, very excited to talk with him and do more shows with him in the future. Imperium Press, you want to check out this great new show that they have and their literature that they publish. Oops, there's this handsome devil called James Fox Higgins. I'm so grateful to him for having me on this festival as well. What a joy to have him on the show to feature Logos Rising, a powerhouse of a musician. What an extraordinary talent in our field, in our our sphere, I should say. And it's just a joy to know all these great people that are like brilliant. Each one of them is a world unto themselves. So here we have Dave Martell, who is representing the Germanic indigenous spiritual ways of our people, the folkish ways. Dave is another beast of a man. He's really funny, and we've got a great energy. He and I are working on some publishing projects, which I will get to shortly. Taking Back Pulp Fiction. We'll get to that shortly. So there's a lot of shows to watch on Imperium Art. And it's not just Imperium Art. But what I thought I would do right now is do a little segue into some music. So my music is mostly kind of a sort of a classic rock. I do some jazzy stuff. I have a little bit of a punk rock spirit in me as well that, where you kind of have that angry protest spirit that comes out once in a while. But this collaboration that I'm doing with George Floyd has more of a sort of a retro synthwave kind of flavor to it. So I'm going to play you a song that I hope will be very enjoyable and inspirational. But I first have to put on the, what is it called? The audio. If I don't share the audio, then we'll be sitting here wondering what the song sounds like. So let's get my little share audio button on, and we'll play this in a moment. People are angry at me that I don't have more music coming out, but I focus so much on the arts that I'll have to get back to that. All right, folks, here we go. Well, I hope you like that. That's some kind of song to inspire and uplift us, to give us hope and vision for the future. So let's take a look back at the slideshow I've got here. There's a lot more to talk about. We do want to get into learning about the White Art Collective. This is one of the most important things happening in our cultural sphere. So we'll do a few, kind of look at a couple other things here. This, what do you call it? This slide presentation I'm going to give to XYZ, and anybody that wants to download it, they can do that, do their own presentations. There's many links embedded in these images that you can click out to videos. So here, one of my other shows is called Afternoon at the Museum. Here I've got No White Guilt, Jason Kuna and Jared George of the Great Order on the show with me. And the show is essentially teaching people how to read and critique art and taking us back into the museums of the world that are our museums, that reconnect us with our past, our history, and make it so that we feel at home again in the arts, in the traditional arts. So this is a show that people are really enjoying, so I'll be doing a lot more. I have a live studio stream. As you can see, there's a painting in the background that's a replication of a 18th century painting of Rome sacking Jerusalem. This is I do commissioned artwork. People can commission me, and I'll paint live. You can watch your artwork come alive, and then I also take questions. It's a very cozy stream. It's very chill, so you can join us there. Other times, people in the sphere want to get together with me and say, "Hey, Donald, let's get together and we're going to talk about film, or this thing that happened in the news or something or other." But it's often arts related. I don't only talk about the arts. I did you'll see when you go to my my channel. But anyway, just kind of looking through a few things. Here we go with Dave Martell and I. He is starting a new project called the Bizarchives: Weird Tales of Monsters, Magic, and Machines. It's essentially the spirit of the pulp magazines from the 1930s, which are adventure stories that we're kind of revitalizing for today. I'll be doing a lot of illustration for that. I did the cover art for this piece here. It's a really exciting thing. Again, this slide links out to Amazon. You can find it on Amazon. I love to feature more artists from Europe, Australia, anywhere. Obviously I'm in America, but I want to reach out everywhere. There's not enough representation of people from Eastern Europe, Central Europe. One of my dear friends, Flash Gorgon, is a French artist. So you can look at his digital art. He's extraordinary, deserves a lot more attention. I teach Kung Fu. I lived in Asia for 5 years. And so I thought, why don't we do a show on martial arts for white well-being? Everybody in our sphere should be learning some kind of self-defense. It's critical. And so that's an exciting show. Talk to Luke Mason from the White Art Collective for that. He also does martial arts. And so publishing is another aspect of our world here. The National Labor Party by Gabriel Vinto, that's on Amazon. I urge you to pick that up. I designed the cover for this as well. Whitepeoplepress.com. Whitepeoplepress.com. If you don't know it, now you know it. So you have to get into this. This, I feel, is the magazine for our movement. Unfortunately, it's only quarterly right now, but the quality of these magazines is through the roof. It is really, really good. I did the artwork here. In this episode, it's focused on the arts. A lot of interviews. I'm in there. Other people from the White Art Collective. It just backs up my whole point of this presentation of the importance of the arts in our sphere. And if you do look in here, you'll find a couple Easter eggs. I'll just give you a little hint on that. So once again, book covers, Josh Neal's I'm a Feminist, and 10 other things women never want to hear. So you can see there's a lot of, it's not just, kind of straight white identity politics. There's a variety of things. You've got action, adventure, comedy, romance. Here I just did a cover Love and Lust in Europe. So this is a sort of a white positive romance novel. I'm working to develop a comic book company with other partners called New Delphi Media. Imagine if memes were superheroes and supervillains. You can see Grug over here. You can see Clown World over here. So that is going to be massive. When that comes out, that is going to be massive. I can't talk about it right now, but I'm insanely excited to introduce that to the world, hopefully this fall. Yeah. I did a comic book with Mark Brahman, talk about racial esoteric moralization. This is an excellent example of that. In the Comics Gate world, yes, comics has its own culture war. It's called Comics Gate. I worked with a well-known author, John Della Rose. This is an excellent example of racial esoteric moralization. You have an Aryan superhero defeating a Muslim terrorist. It's not something Marvel Comics or DC Comics is going to show you. It's always going to sympathize with our enemies. So that's a problem. Anyway, I have a new show coming out. It's basically about anti-critical race theory. So there's a movement of people going against critical race theory in schools and universities, etc. So what's special about this is that I have two other teachers. Now, I'm a former school teacher, art teacher, and so this is a new niche in our sphere, is having three teachers talk about education from a pro or positive white perspective. Now, we have here Daniel Concannon, who was featured on Fox News. So he's right now he's sort of a national figure, and he was he quit his job as a teacher. He's just a hilarious and brilliant guy. He's very outspoken. He's a beast. So I'll read a little bit of his letter of resignation here. I hereby resign as a site coordinator in light of the Frankfurt School crossed out Manchester School District's endorsement of the dehumanization and hatred of white people, as evidenced by their dissemination of the imbecilic white privilege curriculum presented by the intellectual titans at Learning for Justice, an organization founded by America's eternal arbiters of truth and morality, the SPLC, which we all know is a Jewish extortion racket, where senior fellow Mark Potok office is decorated with celebratory charts of the declining percentage of white people in the United States and Europe. That's true. I don't know if you've ever seen, they're literally mapping our census numbers going down. It's disturbing. It's just so clearly, obviously genocidal in spirit. Despite MSD's inability to abide by its own anti-harassment policy and the complete lack of respect and procedure MSD is owed in return, I will honor my obligation to provide 2 weeks' notice. Surely, though, in the interest of the greater good of humanity, MSD will unburden itself of my unbearable whiteness by exercising its discretion to excuse an employee from such notice and relieve an employee from his or her position immediately. So we're going to have an amazing time talking. Now, Brant Danger has a site called School of the West, and School of the West, this is the other gentleman that'll be on the show. This isn't really a regular show. We'll do periodic shows when there's something topical that we need to get into. Let me just quickly show you his site. So last year we had a lot of people doing homeschooling, and this was a time where a lot of people were creating. Oh geez, I don't know if I have the site open. The people were creating a curriculum for homeschooling, and so schoolofthewest.com came out. I'm sorry, I don't have the link right away. Maybe I'll just pop it in here real fast for you guys to take a peek. It's worth having a look. School of the West, it offers an alternative to critical race theory. So think of it this way. Critical race theory is something that they're pushing into schools, which is anti-white. Well, why not a curriculum that's white positive, you know? And it's the other aspect of it as well is that it's it's not anti anybody else. You see, that's our whole message here is that we're not about hate, we're about love for our people. And so honestly, how could you go wrong with that? School of the West, welcome to white well-being. And literally you've got language arts, history, math, science. It's a homeschooling program. You've got programming, computers, and engineering. White well-being is a topic in there. I think that's wonderful. So between Brant, Daniel, and myself, I think it's going to be a phenomenal show. So that's something to look forward to. Let's go back and look at the presentation, and we're going to get into some music as well from the White Art Collective. So let me just pop on the screen here, and we'll get down to business. Quick look at the Patriotic Alternative UK. I do want to plug them as much as I can. I'm not connected with them as much as I'd like to be. I love my my brothers and sisters in the UK. And so this is just an example here, calling artists, photographers, filmmakers, musicians, writers, and anyone creative. And so each month they have a theme, and they have a sort of a contest where where people make arts on that theme. I think it's brilliant. It's really lovely and wonderful. So this particular theme is about inventors. So here you have you've got our buddy from Hungary here. His name is slipping my mind. Sometimes you blank out on things that anyway, you know who I'm talking about. So this is exciting. I'm happy to be a part of just plugging these guys. And at some point I'm going to want to get in there and be a part of their events. So let's look at the White Art Collective for a while here. Tesla, is that his name? Tesla? Yeah, I'm sorry, Tesla. Okay. Anyway, here we are, White Art Collective. Let's take a look. So a couple things. Their D Live is hopping. I mean, that's the jam right there. You want to go on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. You can find out when we get to their site, and we're going to check out their site in a minute. Major event that we had in May. We had an in real life music festival where many of the musicians from the White Art Collective drove from all corners of the country to come in together for one full day and night of music, a real music festival, our own music festival. I'm very pleased to say that I attended that and I performed at that. So you can find that online through their YouTube and other channels as well, and check out like amazing live performances as well. The spirit there is wonderful. So another show they have on White Art Collective is called Our Culture. Here's an example. It's an interview with Kai Moros. So one of the major figures within the White Art Collective is the songstress Hyrith. Hyrith is a spokesperson for White Art Collective. Her music is enchanting, and it's we call it ghost rock. It's very beautiful. She is a very beautiful human being in every sense of the word, and brilliant as well. So she has this marvelous conversation with Kai Moros, and she's had other people on the Our Culture show, something to look into. Conversations with the Wind. This is my friend Nullis's show. It's a poetry show. It's usually every other Sunday, and again, I believe it's starting in October. So, and I co-host that show. So those are deep dives. Those are pretty heavy shows that get into some real serious conversation, big brain stuff, but also fun banter, lots of music. Nullis is from Hungary. He highlights and features Central European culture a bit as well, and then has different authors on the show. So it's quite exciting. So let's take a little look at some of the music in our sphere. One of the most professional talents that we have is a lovely woman named Olivia Key. So I'm going to do a little screen share here and play some of her music for you so you can get a feeling for this. The song is called My Blood, and the line in there that really moves me is she says, "My blood watered the nation." My Blood Watered the Nation. So there's really, her music gives me goosebumps. It's quite powerful. So we're going to play that for you in just a moment here. Get the share audio on, and we're ready to go. My blood watered the nation. My blood. My blood through generations. My blood. What a harrowing time to witness what it means to be white. As our history's taught, a guilt trip. God forbid you have pride. And all this doesn't shake the bones, awakening a rage that only grows. Echoing, 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 you will not replace us. You will not erase us. Darkness will be overthrown as patience dies and courage finds its home. Echoing, echoing, echoing. And nothing can take what my forefathers gave. Only fire fled into the heavens will sky. I won't be denied, and my grace and my own country light is my skin, and I'll live to tell its story. My blood watered the nation. My blood. My blood through generations. My blood. My blood. My Blood Watered the Nation. Very powerful, very, very powerful song. Again, I get goosebumps when I listen to that. She is exceptional, and she's just one of so many. So let's go take a look at the White Art Collective website. There's just so much going on there. It's really tough to keep up with it all, to be honest with you. So, but it's very exciting, and it's moralizing. The more you get into this culture, the more you realize, we can't be stopped. We're going to win. And this is kind of a party. We're just going to love ourselves and our culture and have fun. And in spite of it all, just grow and grow and grow. So it can't be stopped. The momentum is extraordinary. It's a tsunami of culture. So let's look through their site here. We've got, for starters, the site is on its face a kind of a news aggregate. So there's sort of stories from different people in different places. And here we've got interviews, from different people, new songs that are put out from different people. Here's Mark Brauman's Racial Esoteric Moralization Theory, Why Apollonism, Apolloism, Dance Squared, New Poetry. We have Imperium art shows on here. Let's see. A lot of these are clips from or interviews from artists who attended the White Art Collective Music Festival. So that's quite exciting as well. And it just goes on and on. There's a lot here. You can be scrolling for days. Visual art by Skinless Frank, an extraordinary digital artist from the UK. Music by Fornull. Fornull has his own show, Dungeon Synth. It's a whole new kind of genre that he's creating. He's a brilliant songwriter. So let's go up here to the top here. We've got the category of film, category of music. Oh, on the topic of film, they've just announced the Spooky Shorts film contest. I believe the prize money for that is $3,000 this year. So every Halloween we have a film festival. On Christmas we have Christmas events. It's such a beautiful culture. It's a wonderful thing to be part of. Music, culture, shows, short stories, poetry, visual arts, dance, comics, community, and more. Seeking talent, literature, video games, comedy, storytelling, animation. I'm serious, friends. There's a lot going on. And then here are the affiliates. Of course, American Zarathustra. Antelope Hill is a great publishing company. I strongly recommend it. European Americans United. Kosher Certified is an app that you can download to find out what foods are kosher so that you're not paying into our destruction. We've got Libre Play, Mighty White Soap. You got to get you some Mighty White Soap. The National Justice Party, No White Guilt, Red Ice Radio. We've got After Party, Great Order, WhiteDate.net, White People's Press, of course, Will to Rise. So the White Art Collective is just one circle that overlaps many other circles. The network is enormous, and so it's glorious to think, look at all this awesome stuff that you have yet to discover. They're on DLive, BitChute, Twitter, Gab, and Instagram. Always so much going on every week. So let's have a quick look at the shows. On DLive, that's really where I go, but of course there's other platforms people can go to. Mama P from the Mamas and the Pepes, she does a fabulous show where it's essentially a radio show with video, and so she does great stuff, and she's just got incredible energy. The Mamas and the Pepes, here we are with Mama's Monday Mix. The Mamas and the Pepes do satirical folk music. So that's what I'm saying. You've got, I guess, hard rock, country rock, pop rock, synth wave, folk music, just all kinds of different stuff for you to listen to. We're going to play some more music in a little while here. I just wanted to kind of show you Conversations with the Wind, Saturday night live stream. We sometimes have karaoke. So you can hear us get out there and do like cheesy, funny songs. My live studio stream is here. There's just so much going on. And everyone who's sort of related to the arts, like, for example, Hearth of Europa, they do a show where it's all about storytelling. So, I have them on my show, and we're all family, really. So it's quite a beautiful, beautiful world to be a part of. And you need to be part of it. So I really feel, honestly, if you claim to be a part of this movement, you have to be a part of our culture and our music, etc. So, and then not only that, we need you to spread the word. It's essential that we kind of do guerrilla marketing, but I don't like to call it marketing in a sense, because it's kind of like saying, hey, come home. There's a place at the table for you where we miss you. Come on home, and it's quite a beautiful thing. So let's listen to some more music here. I'm going to do my screen share abracadabra. Let's grab some music from, how's about Jack White? Jack White is from Northern Ireland, and this song here, he's doing a collaboration with Fornull, who I told you about earlier with his Dungeon Synth. So Jack White plays the banjo. That's it. But I mean, when I first heard him, I thought he was from America. He has this kind of Civil War style of music that is astonishing and deeply moving. he's just one of the heroes in the White Art Collective. So, but him with For Null on the rock guitar, you're ready for a treat. And once again, I almost forgot to hit the what do you call it? The audio share. So let me go in one more time, make sure. Okay, share audio. And we're just about there. Thank you for your patience. Let's do some rocking. Rocking on a banjo. Used to be we had country. We had our own destiny. Used to be sweet 1950. Now nothing's at all it seems. Look around, what a time to be living. Walking through the ruin of home. Broken by subversive, some more Lord. I heard the sound, thunder so clearly. Trumpet warning on the breeze. I felt the ground, thunder so easy. Nothing was held beneath. Look around, what a time to be living. Walking in the ruin of Rome. Holding back today, some more Lord. Look around, what a time to be living. Walking through the ruin of home. Broken by liberalist song. It's all gone to hell, oh Lord. And For Null. I think that is a great place to end on with the show here. It has kind of a backbone to it, a kind of an anger, a kind of a strength, a fortitude, a sincerity. We are going to win. We must move forward together, be part of this culture. It's a culture war. We will win the hearts and minds of our people. We will unite the Imperium. So thank you very much. This is Donald Kent. Thank you so much for inviting me to the XYZ Festival. Again, I send all my love and all my prayers to Australia. God bless.